Welcome back. Let's talk about matters irrigation. Joining us in studio is Engineer Raphael Ogendo. He's the Deputy General Manager in charge of infrastructure at the National Irrigation Board. I got it?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so very much indeed for joining us. Interact with us. My Twitter handle is @O'Brien Kimani. What is your Twitter handle?
It is, no, I don't have that one.
Oh, you don't have that one? We should ensure that you get one.
Yeah.
Very well. Now, you know, you've seen the slides, and I want to believe that you have gone through the Big Four agenda, and especially on the area of food and nutrition. When you look at the aspirations of the government, you know, when it comes to ensuring that, number one, we become food secure and we suppress the cost of food in this country, what conclusions do you make?
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. I want to start by thanking you for giving me this opportunity. I want to start by giving you the vision of the National Irrigation Board, that one of ensuring that there's every acre of land that is irrigable can be irrigated. And then we have a mission that we are the mission to provide water for sustained farming.
Yep.
Through rehabilitation, modernizing, and improving our schemes to achieve what we are now saying, the food security and income generation, among others. Our mandate is well captured in the Irrigation Act, Cap 344, 347, and among others, it is to provide management of the national public schemes, yep, to ensure that there is research and investigations to establish new national irrigation schemes. And in doing that, we have been able to achieve quite a number of food security projects. Yep. And up to 2002, we were still in implementing or expanding or rehabilitating national public schemes. But there was a shift of policy in 2002, government policy.
I mean, we shall be coming into that because we are about to dig deep into your mandate. But my question still stands. When you look at you know, the aspirations under the Big Four agenda, especially on food and nutrition, when you look at what the government plans to do in terms of, you know, suppressing the cost of food in this country and increasing acreage under irrigation, what conclusions do you make, especially as NIB?
As NIB, the Big Four agenda is a good idea, and because it is now focusing on the food security of our citizenry. And NIB having that mandate through the construction, expansion of irrigation schemes, we can be able to produce food actually enough for this country, because we have land that is suitable, arable and suitable for irrigation. All that we require is the investment, government investment in these projects to turn them around and be able to produce food. In mind here, we have big projects we have heard about Galana, yep, which is a food security project intended to improve the maize production and yep, reduce the cost of this food.
Well, I'm coming to Galana, you know, in just a jiffy, just hang on there. But tell me please, when this Big Four agenda was being formulated, especially on irrigation and the cost of food, were you given a chance to make an input as NIB?
Yeah, we were given a chance to make an input, and we proposed a number of projects that are geared towards increasing food supply for our citizenry. And those are the projects that have been captured.
What are some of these projects?
Some of these projects, we have Bura irrigation scheme. We have Bura irrigation scheme in Tana River. We have Rahole in Garissa. We have Mwea, the construction of the expansion of Mwea. And then we have projects like Lowa and Zoya, funded by World Bank. No. Which are geared towards increasing food supply as well as income generation and creating employment for our citizenry. So those projects have been well captured, and in the Big Four.
In the Big Four agenda.
We are in the process of implementing these projects for starting this financial year. Yes.
Tell me this. How much do you think it is likely to cost this country, when we talk about, boosting land or acreage under irrigation from the current 500,000 acres to about 1.2 million acres?
Yes, you would just an average conservative figure of about 400,000 investment. 400,000 shillings, Kenya shillings, to develop 1 acre.
400,000 Kenya shillings.
Average.
On average, to develop 1 acre.
Depending on the system you're using, to develop that. So you have to develop 1,000 or 1 million, you expect that that would be billions of Kenya shillings. Yes.
As NIB, where do you think this money will come from?
Okay, one of the sources of this money is from the wananchi themselves. That is through funding, through taxes, and through taxes we are getting allocations every year from the treasury to implement these projects. There is the donor, and the development partners.
Development
partners who are also coming, like now I mentioned the Low and so yes, a development partner. The Mwea is a development partner, with the partnering with the Joke. Then we are now in the issue on the procurement of these massive projects like dams for irrigation. We are now using a model we call EPC. This model is that we invite investors. We just invite investors from whatever, China, Europe, whatever. They go to the process and do funding from their governments on an arrangement with our treasury. That we are able to go ahead and implement these big projects without depending so much on the treasury.
Engineer, between me and you, we know for sure that procurement processes in this country have always been dodgy. They have always been long and bureaucratic. I want to find out from you, how then do we ensure that projects under the Big Four agenda, especially on irrigation, are fast-tracked to ensure that we achieve the aspirations by the year 2022? We are talking about less than 4 years from now.
It's less than 4 years, and so far as the NIB, we have moved fast, and we are in the procurement of doing what I said we call EPC model. We are procuring dams, quite a number of dams. There's Tushi in Embu. There is the Nyatike Dam in Nyanza. There's the Ruwat Dam in Turkana County, and others across the country. And the aim here is to ensure that there's enough water supply actually to increase this area under irrigation. But dams take long to construct. So we are saying, if we are starting 5 dams now, that's 2018, we expect to realize that 2022. Dams will take about 4 or 5 years to have them completely done. But again, what we are doing, we are focusing also on what we are calling a program we are calling water for households. This involves construction of small water plants at individual farm level of capacities of 1,000 to 1,000 to 3,000 meter cubed to increase the storage, harvest the runoff and increase storage for irrigation. And then we're also having a program of desilting the existing dams, which have been all over the country. We desilted so that we create capacity for more storage and thus increase that water availability.
Tell me please, and it's very good that you have brought up the issue of desilting, and we know for sure that desilting is a very expensive undertaking. When you look at the amount of money that you have been given in the financial year 2018, 2019, we're talking about 8.5 billion Kenya shillings.
Yes.
That is not even enough, to help in desilting Pekera and Moya irrigation scheme. So how do you plan to go about this, honestly?
Yeah, thank you for that important question. We are saying, okay, we want to move systematically, and we have to move within, we have to budget within the resources that we have. The 8.5 that has been allocated for irrigation development to NIB is from, that's from the GOK component. We also have development partners, and as I said earlier, we have that model of investment. Private investors, they are coming in. So if we are able to move with that, because that will be an arrangement of funding, design funding and so on, so that the investors, whether from China or where, they come in, invest and do that. But it is not easy to move up to that because that investment, the investment portfolio is large. As I told you, that we on a conservative estimate, about 400,000 shillings to develop an acre. An acre. Ideally, you need massive resources to do that. But we must start from somewhere.
Tell me, please, and you're talking about 400,000 shillings, to develop 1 acre of land. When you compare these, when you do a comparative analysis, with countries, for example, let's pick Israel, whereby it cost about 180,000 Kenya shillings, to put up 1 acre. Let's then go to China. It cost about 240,000 Kenya shillings. It cost 400,000 Kenya shillings. I mean, why is the big variance here? What are we not doing right?
What I said, depending on the system, but to give you the exact, I gave you a conservative estimate, but we have gone down to around 250. What I said, it is not, it's an estimate. It depends on the system, which system you're using, the trunk lines of the pipelines and so on. It will depend on that. But there are projects here we have implemented as low as 200,000 Kenya shillings per acre. Per acre. We have them.
So the figure that you are giving here is on average.
It's on average. It can go up to 200 and even 200,000. It may go up to 400. That's what I'm saying. And that's what is required to invest in an acre. Yes.
And of course, you are saying that you have decided to fly with the EPC model, whereby you get investors. They come up with the concept. They engineer the project. Up to full implementation. And of course, we know this is a capital-intensive project. And so you do not expect to go into the market today and get investors for this project tomorrow. It can take a bit of time before due diligence is done and before return on investment analysis are done. Are we confident that we are likely to do all these within the next 4 years? Engineer, please.
The experience we have, because we started procuring these dams under that model about 2 years ago. And where we are now, we are at the stage of award. That is 2 years down the line. And then we know from award, now we move on to the next stage of clearance and also treasury, the funding arrangements and so on. So from award, it will also take some time before we actually start the construction itself.
Some time for you, you're talking about how much time is some time?
Yeah, I'm saying for the first 4 dams that we expect construction to start maybe in 6 to 10 months from now.
6
to 10 months.
So
after we have completed all the procedures, we are through with the National Treasury, we are through with the Attorney General, we are through with the financiers and the security arrangements of that money. But that's the only way to go, because in view of the limited funding that comes from the
yes. So we're talking about probably maybe starting construction works, let's even talk about mid-2019.
Yeah, around there.
And of course, construction will take about 24 months.
About 3 years.
24
3 years, yeah, 3 years.
2 to 3
6
years.
months, yeah.
Wow.
So that one takes up to 2022.
2022.
Yeah. When we should realize the benefits of that water.
No. 2022 is the time that we are going to have the dams in place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Then we move to the next issue of putting land and irrigation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we are not.
We are talking. We are procuring for dam construction together with the irrigation infrastructure.
Irrigation infrastructure.
Yeah.
So by the year 2022,
all in a package. All
so
in
by
a
the year
package.
2022,
Yeah, we should have all of them complete. Yeah.
we should have all of them complete.
Yes. Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah.
And when we plan to start having, the first harvest out of this project?
The first harvest, we are now in 2022. And then if everything is in place, everything we hope it will be in place.
Hope.
Yeah, God willing. Yeah, that time 22, everything's in place.
Yep.
Then we start now growing the crops. Yes.
Very well. What crops are we targeting here?
We are targeting in the food security. We need to deal with the maize. We need to deal with the
bananas,
with the potatoes. Things that arise. That our population requires to feed on, so that we cut down, that you are saying we cut down on the cost, on the importation cost of this food.
Very well. Tell me this. I mean, NIB, National Irrigation Board, you have been around since 1966.
Yeah.
We're talking about how many years now?
Yeah, 1966.
Up to 20,000.
That is around now over 50 years.
That is close to 60 years.
Over 50 years, yeah.
Actually. And for that period of time, we have only managed to put up about 500,000 acres of land under irrigation. If you were to be a good teacher, what grade would you give NIB?
Yeah, I want to put it this way before I give the grade. NIB was set up to oversee and manage public schemes, which were only 6. They were closed in that mandate as by the Act of the Act of 1966. So it is until 2002 that there was that shift of government policy now to start implementing, implementing projects, large scale, small scale, all over the country. Now, from that time up to now, we have been able to move from, at that time, around 2002, we had only done about 200,000 acres in the entire republic. Yes. Then we have been able to move, and currently now we are saying we are at 500,000 acres. And in particular, when this program of National Expanded came in 2011, we have been able to implement about 209 projects countrywide. Among these 209 projects, we have 163 projects which have been completed and they're in production, bringing about 130 acres of land and irrigation, benefiting about 80,000 farmers.
So the question is, what do we need to do then, to accelerate this pace? Because
now, to accelerate this pace, it must be multiple. We must ensure we invest a lot in dam construction. We invest in desilting the existing dams. We must invest in expansion, in rehabilitation, expansion. We must invest in new irrigation projects, and all this requires massive resources. So we need the government, the goodwill from the government, and within this capacity, the government has been able to allocate we are calling it reasonable, so but it should be increased so that we achieve. So in the Big Four agenda, we hope now the financing will be enhanced so that we are able to bring more area.
And of course, you know, matters have somehow been complicated by the fact that you know, agriculture is now a devolved function.
Yeah.
And for example, if you are to take like Mwea, you know, irrigation scheme, which is supposed to be managed by the county government of Kirinyaga, do you, when you look at Kirinyaga County, for example, among other counties, do you think they have, number one, the expertise and the technical know-how to manage such a scheme?
I would say the present circumstances, because I've been involved in this Mwea scheme, and you know, Mwea scheme has always been under the management, central management of NIB all along, and handing over such a scheme in this to county government in this present status, that would be asking too much from them. You know, they don't have that capacity, and that's why we are saying we are addressing this issue in the bill, in the irrigation bill, where after NIB implements these projects, the infrastructure, who takes over to ensure there's sustained production in these schemes, because the mandate of NIB now is to provide the provision of water to the farms.
So as we stand now, you know,
so
we do not have any county that has the expertise to manage these irrigation schemes.
Yeah, I would say what they have is not sufficient enough.
It's not sufficient enough.
Or adequate enough to manage.
And
they would
so
still need...
If they are handed over to counties, what would happen? Because that's what the Constitution says.
Yeah, the mandate is theirs. The Constitution says so, and we are supposed to do that. But as I said, there's an arrangement. If that bill is passed by Parliament, there's an arrangement of having a body that would oversee how this production, after the infrastructure has been put in place.
So tell me this, let's talk about a major project, a flagship project of the Jubilee administration, and that is Galana Kulalu irrigation project. We are talking about it earlier on, whereby the plan is to develop 1.2 million acres of land and to bring it under irrigation, right?
I want to correct that one.
This is 1 million.
I want to correct that one.
Correct.
I want to give you the facts of of Galana.
Please do.
One, the land is owned by government. That's ADC.
Yes.
And that land is about 1.8 million acres.
Yeah.
And out of that 1.8, about 1.2 million is arable, which means it's good for crop farming. Yes. Now, to develop 1.2 million acres of land, you need massive resources of water. But this project called Galana was started on a pilot basis by a model farm of 10,000 acres. Yeah, and then from the 10,000 acres after we achieved the 10,000 acres of land, then there was a proposal to have a dam, a big dam, along the Galana River, so that now that would boost bring more command area up to 400,000
So where are we
acres.
now?
So where we are now in the final stages of completing the 10,000 model farm.
The model farm.
Yes.
And how much have we spent on the project so far?
Yes, we have so far spent about 6 billion Kenya shillings on the model farm.
On the model farm.
Yes.
How much have we managed to harvest out of You first of all developed
we have
5,000
been able
acres.
to harvest about 6,000. We have already done 6,000
6,000
acres of land.
How much have we generated out of the 6,000?
In terms of money?
No, in terms of food production.
In terms of food, we are talking about an average of 30 bags.
I thought it was 10 bags.
No,
that's what the ministry gave.
I'm giving you the correct figure, O'Brien. The correct figure is an average of
30 bags of maize per acre.
Yeah, and then you multiply by that, that's about 180,000 bags of maize. Yeah.
So for NIB, it is 30. For the Ministry of Irrigation, it's 10.
Maybe I want to let me state this, that we are doing, trying varieties, different varieties of maize. And when we were trying that, with the objective of establishing the best suited varieties that you can produce, and you can produce over even 40 bags. 40 bags per acre. Yeah. We were moving, that was our target. And on average now, we are around 30 bags.
You're around 30 bags.
Which you are saying the rating, the rating, that's over 80%. Yeah.
That is over 80%. Yeah. I think, in the interest of time, because we have to wind up, engineer, tell me this, to develop 1.2 million acres, I mean, there have been a number of figures given, and I want to rely on your expertise as an engineer.
Yeah.
How much do you think we're likely to spend, to develop 1.2 million acres?
Yeah, I said earlier that you can use that figure. You can use a figure. We have adopted a figure actually as the department, and we are now using a figure of 250. 250 Kenya shillings to develop 1 acre.
So we are talking about 300 billion Kenya shillings.
Yes, that's what we are talking about. That we require to do what, to achieve the 1.2 million. Yes.
Barring anything, I mean, when are we likely to have the 1.2 million acres, up and running?
All these things now would depend on holding factors constant. We expect funding, no hitch in funding. We expect our partners, to come in, donor and all that. Yeah. And if that one is, of course, the government has got that goodwill. It is already, we are already in the big four, and already in the big four, there's a lot of focus. Financing would improve. We expect that, and the only way to go is just to develop, our land, so that we can be able now to reduce on the cost of food for our citizenry.
Engineer Ogendo, thank you so much indeed for your time and of course for your insight. And of course this is an ongoing topic, and definitely we'll call you again when the need be, so that we can talk to you about these issues and other emerging issues in the agricultural sector. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Bre.
Asante sana.
I'll be happy to be here again.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Engineer Raphael Ogendo is the Deputy General Manager in charge of infrastructure at the National Irrigation Board, joining us here tonight on Business Insight to talk about matters irrigation. Let's move on, where Brand Kenya Board has developed a county branding index that seeks to determine the strength of counties to position themselves as hubs for investment, trade and tourism. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Naji Balala says branding will enable counties to be rated based on their comparative advantage and help them attract more investment.